So before we actually get into the video, I want to talk to you guys about the OneFootball app, because for me it's the perfect go-to place for all your football news. You get player news, player statistics, league tables, upcoming fixtures, transfer news, team news, all in one place, all at zero cost. You also get match highlights for leagues like the Serie A, where you also get a match which you can watch live for free every single week. This weekend it will be Fiorentina at home to Torino, and like I said, all of this is zero cost. It is the only football app that I use because it does it all in one place. So you can get it too by using the link in the description down below or by scanning the QR code which will be on screen now. It really is the best football app there is out there to you, so I highly recommend that you download the OneFootball app today. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we are back with another Manchester United match analysis video. This time though, for the first time in quite a while, it isn't a positive video, because Manchester United have dropped points thanks to a late equaliser from Crystal Palace in the game last night, seeing the match finished 1-1, and I'll be honest, this wasn't a great night for Manchester United. They dropped points, the performance was bad, and they also lost Casemiro through suspension for the Arsenal game at the weekend, so kind of everything that United needed to do, they needed to keep momentum, get some points on the board, and keep Casemiro away from suspension. They didn't do any of those things, so a little bit of a disappointing night. However, it wasn't all bad, and these things happen in football, right? You do have these off games. United are still very much in the process of their rebuild. I mean, let's go back to last season, for example, before Erik ten Hag. This happened every game. And for United fans, I think, actually, the way you're feeling right now is probably a sign of how much Ten Hag has done. Because a draw away from home in the Premier League, and Manchester United fans are absolutely gutted. It feels like a defeat. But actually, last season, we didn't care when we were dropping points because everyone was so disconnected. So actually, the fact that you are so disappointed probably shows some of the work that Ten Hag has done, so don't get on his back too much. It wasn't a great performance. However, in the first half, I actually thought it was pretty decent. I don't think United were special at any point in this game. However, in the first half, I thought United done okay. One thing they had quite early on, in sort of like the first 15 minutes, is Crystal Palace were looking to get forward, which is understandable. You know, at home with the fans behind them, they were looking to get men forward, and this left a lot of space for United to transition into, and I thought Weghorst was doing a really good job of dropping in, and sort of his one-touch play to bring players in round the corner but also into feet was really impressive, and United started the game quite brightly on the counter-attack, got into some good positions in that opening 15 minutes, and yeah, genuinely they looked quite bright. Some good attacking football. We saw Rashford getting in behind into this area, Anthony on the right hand side getting in behind, but like I said, Weghorst as well linking the play quite nicely. But the problem was that after this, Palace went, okay, we get it, you're good on the counter-attack, we're now going to drop back and retreat into shape a little bit. And this sort of like increased the amount of possession United had, which isn't actually always currently suited to this United team. We know they are better in transition than what they are in kind of sustained possession. So this actually almost created a problem for United. Before we continue with the analysis, I want to talk to you guys about JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that's the latest home shirts, the latest away shirts, tracksuits, or even retro kits, JerseyFIFA has a bit of everything. There really is something for everyone, so if you are interested, then make sure to use the link in the description down below and head to JerseyFIFA.com. So from here, what United looked to do was of course play out from the back. Palace kind of attempted a bit of a press, but it was very passive, very passive indeed. Mateta up top would try and split the centre-backs, but the problem from here was they then didn't do anything after that. They didn't then press the centre-backs at all. So Varane and Lisandro Martinez could then step forward with the ball, and quite easy ball progression for Manchester United. What I also found quite interesting from here was that we saw the United fullbacks a bit wider than what they typically have been in recent weeks. Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, yes, eventually as we go through like further up the pitch, we'll see that they invert a little bit more. But in these areas, they actually started quite wide, which was quite interesting to see. And then we had Christian Eriksen and Casemiro forming a double pivot, and United almost built possession with a 2-2 shape like this. And it forced Crystal Palace back into a 4-4-1-1, and obviously with this box shape from United here, up against the two Crystal Palace players, they found ball progression quite easy, and it was quite comfortable for United in possession. Palace were just off. Palace were really slow to everything, and in terms of the shape, it's kind of quite an even matchup in this area currently, with Eriksen, Fernandes and Casemiro up against the three Crystal Palace midfielders. However, Palace were just a bit slack in the way that they pressed. At times, they tried to go man for man, and I thought Will Hughes, to be fair, had a really good game in midfield. But Palace were trying to kind of go man for man in their press, but they were just a yard off it, and when you've got quality players like Manchester United do, it allows United to move the ball forward through the thirds. Something else we saw also in these areas was the fullbacks now moving narrow, kind of higher up the pitch, dragging the Crystal Palace player in, and then this allows like someone like Rashford to get the ball into feet on this side of the pitch, or if it happens down this side, it allows Antony to get the ball into his feet, and United were progressing the ball quite nicely, and ball progression was something that United found reasonably easy during the first half of the match. Something else we saw was rotations down the left-hand side looking really dangerous, and what United have got at the moment is they've got into a position where Eriksen, Shaw and Marcus Rashford all rotate really, really nicely. We see almost 3 set positions here, right? We can see the deeper left side phase, which is where Luke Shaw is, the tucked in position, which is where Christian Eriksen is, and then the wide position, which is where Marcus Rashford is. Now, these are 3 fixed positions that Ten Hag wants occupied at all times. Completely understandable. However, that doesn't mean that Manchester United's system is rigid, because he doesn't mind who it is kind of covering these areas. So on this occasion it's Rashford, but he's happy for Rashford to move inside, Luke Shaw to push forward and Christian Eriksen to drop deeper. Or sometimes Eriksen can be wide, Shaw can move in and Rashford can get the ball deeper. It's quite a good little rotation down this side of the pitch, which is working really well, and actually it's exactly what we saw for the goal. Marcus Rashford playing the ball through to Christian Eriksen, and Weghorst makes a brilliant run, which I'll come on to in a second, and then Bruno Fernandes gets the ball on the edge of the box and finishes well. But it all came because of Ten Hag's rotations down the left-hand side. So yes, ultimately this was quite a negative night for Manchester United. The positive signs were still there, and these are things that United weren't doing so well in the past. So it was good to see this rotation down this side. Down the other side, I thought Wan-Bissaka had a really good game. His first touch, but also his release of passing, his timing of passing, his weight of passing was really, really impressive. Antony, I've still got the same issue in that he's just taking a bit too much time to do things. Now, again, he's only 22 years old. He's taking time to adapt to the Premier League, which, again, we always claim that the Premier League is the best league in the world. So therefore, it seems stupid to expect a player to hit the ground running. So, again, give him time. He will get there. He'll be alright. But he just needs to be a bit more aggressive at times. He always slows the attack down by doing these little ball rolls. He loves to roll his studs over the ball, but in the final third, you don't always need to do that. Just speed it up a little bit. But in general, I thought United were okay in the first half. This was kind of their shape. We saw Martinez and Varane kind of holding position here. These rotations down the left-hand side. Wan-Bissaka pushing forward into the final third. United looked decent. They looked more attacking at times than what they have been recently. It's quite rare that we see both fullbacks bombing forward at the same time. So United clearly had that attacking intent, and this allowed them to outnumber that Crystal Palace back four. With Palace in a back four, we can see that United can quite comfortably get a front five in situations like this. And this, of course, creates channels. Wan-Bissaka wide, Antony in between, Weghorst in between, Eriksen in between, and Rashford out wide in this sort of scenario. United looked decent, and they had some spells where they were causing problems for Crystal Palace. However, in terms of chance creation, United didn't exactly create anything. They got into some decent areas, but they lacked cutting edge. And I think what United lacked a little bit was attacking intent. I can't really recall... Let's just swap these two around quickly. I can't really recall Antony getting the ball and going up against Mitchell, apart from on one occasion. And Rashford on the left-hand side, I don't remember him dribbling. And when you are playing against a low block, which United eventually were against Crystal Palace, you need a bit of quality on the ball, but also a bit of bravery on the ball. Someone who is willing to win their 1v1s. United lacked that. And Rashford in general, he had a poor game with his form recently. I think we can kind of excuse that, but he wasn't good enough in this game. And I think this highlighted a problem with Manchester United. And that problem is that when Marcus Rashford isn't on it, where are the goals going to come from? And it's something I have been worried about for a bit of time now. Yes, Rashford's been scoring a lot of goals and doing great, but where else are the goals going to come from? United have become a little bit over-reliant on him for a moment of magic. And that was a problem in this game because Rashford wasn't really providing that magic. Yes, he still got the assist if you like for the goal, but because Rashford weren't providing that magic and constantly taking players on, United looked a bit toothless in the attack. And yeah, that was a problem. And also, I didn't think they were too great out of possession either. So out of possession, United's approach was the same to what it nearly always is. A man-for-man approach in the midfield. Quite a deep back, or not a deep back four, but quite a connected back four. And then you've got Weghorst split in the centre-backs. And then the wingers in between the centre-backs and the full-backs. And this is a pressing structure which, it works when you're playing against limited players, technically, right? But when you're playing in the Premier League, I do think this is a flawed pressing system, and it's something I keep highlighting, I keep coming back to during the season. The fullback for the opposition is free if you can lift it over the winger. And Guaita could in this game. He was capable of pinging the ball out to Mitchell and Klein on this side. And then United have a problem because now your winger is out of position, so is always like trying to make up the ground, but Klein's got a head start in this example. And we know Rashford isn't exactly someone which wants to track with great intensity. And this allowed Klein to kind of carry the ball forward quite easily. And this is a problem with United's pressing structure. The fullbacks are disconnected from the press. And that is a problem. It is something that Ten Hag needs to figure out. It's why in a lot of the big games I'm saying don't press, because I don't think United are good enough at it yet. And even at Crystal Palace, this was a problem because Klein was carrying the ball forward and they were creating overloads down this right-hand side. However, United did go in at half-time 1-0 up. They'd played decent. Palace hadn't really created anything. They looked like they could get forward, but United looked in control, but that changed in the second half. Of course, I am not too sure what was said at half-time. However, United came out weirdly. United lost a lot of their intensity. I was talking about Crystal Palace being quite passive in the first half. Suddenly, Crystal Palace were the ones now winning the duels, and we know that this is something that Erik ten Hag puts a big emphasis on. He puts a lot of emphasis on, yes, control, but winning your duels. Not just winning the first ball, but winning the second ball. That did not happen in the second half for Manchester United, and that would have been a concern. Now, yes, we can point to fatigue, absolutely. If we compare Manchester United minutes to Crystal Palace this season, it's night and day. United, of course, also have players playing at the World Cup. United going deep into cup competitions. Manchester United have got a bit of a problem for themselves now, where they are in 4 competitions still, but they probably don't have a squad that can compete in 4 competitions. And it meant that in a game like this, they looked a little bit tired. They looked a little bit leggy after about the 60th minute mark, and Crystal Palace, they got the crowd behind them, kind of. From the 60th minute onwards, it felt like a matter of time before Crystal Palace were going to score. It felt like one of those games. Palace were coming forward, United's game management was poor, the crowd were behind Palace, almost sucking the ball into the net. The goal felt like it was coming, and it was poor game management from Manchester United. They just lacked any quality on the ball. They just were off it completely. Like I said, I'm not too sure what happened. But Casemiro was trying to play balls forward when the option was to go deep to Varane. For the free kick eventually. De Gea goes long when he could have easily passed to Lisandro Martinez, who was open to his left-hand side. United looked a bit panicked. United have looked very controlled recently in what they're doing. There was a sense of panic in his performance. For the Casemiro yellow card, which I'll come on to, which is important, he gives the ball away with a forward pass to Fernandes when he could have quite easily gone sideways to Varane, and that was the thing to do in that situation. Instead, he attempts an audacious pass. Fernandes loses the ball, and it breaks to Zaha, who runs in on goal. Casemiro, for me, has to do that foul. It's very disappointing because it means he misses the Arsenal game. But for me, it's a foul he has to make. I think he has to make that foul. Now, you can argue that he should have come off a little bit earlier, and that was my opinion. I think he was left on a little bit too long, so I think Ten Hag potentially got that wrong. In terms of starting him, I would have started him. I'd done a poll on it, and a lot of you guys said rest him. But for me, Palace proved... I was kind of proven right saying he should start, but also proven wrong because he got booked. I was proven right in the sense that Crystal Palace are a very decent football team. And I think people were almost of the thought process that, yeah, United will win this game, let's focus on Arsenal. This is why I said United had to focus on this game, because there are no easy games in the Premier League, and Crystal Palace proved exactly that. However, having said that, I do think he should have come off a little bit earlier. I think 65th minute, you could kind of see how the game was going. Palace were building momentum, almost targeting Casemiro a bit, who actually had an incredible game. But he took that booking, and United's heads just seemed to drop. All the players just suddenly seemed a little bit down, a little bit disappointed. It was almost like they knew what had happened. You saw on Casemiro's face instantly. You saw on Fernandes' face instantly. Ten Hag's face instantly as the cameras were zooming in on him. Something happened, like United looked really down from that moment, and then it just felt like a matter of time before Palace would score. And they did score, and it ended up a really disappointing night for Manchester United. However, being a Manchester United fan, but also being a channel which has a lot of Manchester United fans, I'm aware of all the negativity that will be about. So I just want to focus on 2 quick positives before we end the video. 1, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. If any other fullback in the world of football played last night, Manchester United would have lost. The challenge that he makes last minute on Wilfried Zaha is out of this world. It is absolutely incredible, but his performance in general was quality. For me, he was man of the match. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. So fair play Wan-Bissaka. When he was out of the team, he didn't complain. He didn't go do interviews complaining to Piers Morgan. He just put his head down and worked hard, and eventually got a shot in the team with Dalot getting injured, and he's been absolutely brilliant. So fair play to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And also, I just want to talk about Weghorst quickly in his how he affects Manchester United's goal without touching the ball. So look where he is here. Basically, the ball came wide from Rashford, who we can see bottom left. He played it through to Eriksen, and Weghorst makes a run across the near post. All the Palace players follow him, and it opens up this lovely space for Bruno Fernandes on the edge. So It shows the importance of having a box presence in Weghorst. He drags all the defenders, gives Bruno Fernandes the room for what looked like it was going to be the winner until the very last minute. But yeah, Weghorst, I thought he had a pretty good debut considering he's barely trained with the team. But those are the two positives, plenty of negatives, but let's not really focus on it. Manchester United go again against Arsenal. I will be previewing that game. I've also got coverage of City's game versus Spurs, which is a big game for Manchester United as well, if you think about it. So yeah, loads of content coming on the channel. So make sure you subscribe, like the video, notifications on, all of that stuff so you don't miss a video. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I dare say you didn't enjoy the match too much. But thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one.